Thank you, there I am. Thank you, Sharon. I feel like she did my comedy show. I don't have to do anything. I just want to comment that I really like the setup. This is so beautiful up here. So how many of you guys have your Christmas tree already up and done at home? Okay, we're not going to talk to you. If you don't have your Christmas tree done, bring your own ornaments. He's got it right here. You can take pictures. I love this. How many of you sometimes will just want to go into the drum set? I want to know how to go in here. It's okay, I won't touch anything, it looks like. But one of my favorite things is this. I think this is Pastor Myron's selfie box. Where is he? I do have to say, these lights remind me as if we were in London. What do you think, girls? Do you feel like, how many of you watched The Crown? Did you realize you say the word schedule the wrong way? Every time I watch an episode, it's schedule, not schedule. But I love these lights. It's a little bit of British up here. All right, I'm done picking on the stage. I'm curious, how many of you have Apple cell phones? And then, where are my Androids? Yes. I always feel intimidated by the Apple phones, though, because they're always like ahead in technology. They're like, so my phone, they're like, my phone can like open the refrigerator for me. And if I say make scrambled eggs, it does. I'm like, my phone can make a phone call. You guys have Siri. My phone's so old, I have Siri's grandma. She honestly can't hear. If I voice text, it almost always comes out the wrong way, right? I'll never forget being in a group chat, right? People are praying. They're like, pray for this family, pray, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna answer this, yeah. The voice text is right. And I'm like, I'm praying for your family, I'm praying for this, all excited. And then I hit send. Do you think that's what they got? No. What they got is, I pray that you get a beating. You and your whole family get a beating. And you just get beaten up for the day. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have two boys. They both have actually done some stand-up comedy, which is exciting. But, my one son, he's always just like, Mom, don't text me. Not more than 2 sentences. I won't read past that. I'm like, well, how's that helpful? My other son is like, can you text a message without emojis? I'm like, no, because I'm a woman. And we like our emojis, don't we? Because we want to emote. I could say, what time will you be home, smiley face? Or I can say, what time will you be home, angry face, right? But I love my one son. He's always just like, he sends these wonderful, loving text messages. He says, coming home, need meat. Okay. We're so used to getting text messages, right? How many of you get annoyed when your phone actually rings? Are you just like, who's calling me right now? What would they want? Why can't they just say it in a text message? All right, so now how many of you guys are on Facebook? You got to, by a round of applause, right? Don't you think 2020 was the most peaceful year on Facebook? To mask or not to mask? Did you just feel the love? Now, it's fun to sometimes look at, restaurant posts, right? You love these people who post what they had at a restaurant. Here's their appetizer, here's their entree, here's the dessert. And I'm like, unless I'm sitting at that table taking a bite, I don't really care. Or they have vacation posts, right? You see the sunset, and then always a picture of someone's feet on the beach. And then it's plus 105. Are you serious? Do you expect me to see 105 ways that you were happy on vacation? I'm not doing it. I like to see people get engaged and get married. That's part of Facebook. That's a lot of fun. And then now they have that new baby blanket, right, for babies if you have a baby. Have you seen that? They could always like put a circle ring on 2 months or 4 months. That whoever invented that baby blanket, he's got a lot of money. He's doing a great job, right? I'm just like, so are we going to track these babies all the way up to their adults? They're like still laying on a blanket, 45 years old. No, now one thing I just want to say is that some people want to post prayer requests because they're going to have surgery, and I get that. But, you know, part of me thinks like, okay, so a lot of people think it's okay to post a picture of their, let's say they got surgery on their foot, and they post the picture after the surgery when it's all black and blue and stitches. I'm thinking to myself, we didn't want to see what your foot looked like beforehand. Why would we want to see what it looks like after surgery? So yes, I'll be praying that you take that picture down. That's probably what. So like Sharon said, basically I grew up in Detroit, yes, little crazy neighborhood. And I grew up in basically an Arabic-speaking household. My parents are from that peaceful country called Syria. I'm sure you never hear of it. And everybody I know, you know, they want to win a trip to Damascus, right? Do you ever see that on a game show? You never see anybody go, and you and your whole family, a trip for 4 to Damascus, Syria. Bring your own bombs. I'm kidding. I can say that. I'm Arabic. It's okay. Well, a lot of you, when you were growing up learning how to speak, you might be saying like mama or dada, and I was in the bathroom sink going, ukhti. Akhui. Can you say that? Can you say ukhti? No, it's true. Those are real words, by the way. So that's why Rosetta Stone comes with a bucket. You got 3 spits, you're getting an A. My parents divorced when I was about 5 years old, and we got to go visit my grandmother a lot. We call her Taita. That means grandma in Arabic. And I just remember going to her apartment. She could not speak English very well. She could say 3 words, and that was bathroom, money, and Tarzan. Because back then, before Disney, they had this black and white Tarzan film, and it was always, you go into her apartment, it always smelled like spinach pies, and Tarzan was always on. And I used to think, why does she like Tarzan so much? I'm like, oh, it sounds like he's singing in Arabic. Oh! Oh, thank you. More than 2 people got that. Well, my grandmother grew up in the 1930s, and so back then in the Great Depression, you didn't like put your money in the bank. You held on to your money. I remember I'd go help her clean her apartment, and I'm like, I'm just gonna lay down and take a nap. You could go to the pillowcase, and it was stuffed with money. You could go under the mattress, and it was stuffed with money. I was like in the bathroom going, are those 10s? And it was hard to take her out to a restaurant, right? Because everything on the table she thought belonged to her. When we would leave and go back to her apartment, like she's pulling out the salt and pepper shaker and where did you get that? And later on she goes, are you hungry? I bring you sandwich. You want ketchup with that? I have that. No, that's okay. That's all right. Oh my goodness. Yes, so anyway, growing up, of course, with my mom, she had to raise 5 kids when my parents divorced, but she did the best she could, but she's always a little bit crazy, and I used to think to myself, when I was in high school, you know, I played basketball, and I'm like, she can only come to 1 game. She only came 1 game, and that was actually enough. But my childhood was definitely different than yours, right? She would come to the basketball game. Now, most parents are like, go team, you know, defense, offense. And she stands up and goes, put the ball in the basket. I was like, sit down. No, put the ball. And the whole crowd's like, put the ball in the basket. Put the ball in the... It's like a top 10 Jamaican hit now. I'm like, what? And it was always embarrassing to go to the zoo. we went to the Detroit Zoo. And most families would just, go along and be happy to go to the reptile house or go see the giraffes or whatever. No. My mom was the tour guide. She's like, first we go to the monkeys, okay, because they sing that song, ooh, ooh, ah, ooh, ooh, ah. I was like, don't sing that song when we get there, please. Then she would go see the lions, and she goes, how come the lions, they're always sleeping? I don't pay to come see them sleep. Okay, let us bring zebra in. Oh my goodness. And then she goes, we are going to the camels. And I thought, oh no. Because they speak Arabic. I was like, I don't want to go to the camels. She would go up to the camels. There were literally 3 of them, like sitting way in the back, the camels. And she goes, ta, ta, yalla, yalla, And they stood up. All 3 of them, like, oh. They walked like 20 feet, and she's like, nukh, 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 which means kneel. And all of a sudden, I look behind us. There's a group of people applauding. She's like, quick, pass the bucket. I love watching my mom on her cell phone because, she needs a little bit of help sometimes. When she wants to, I'll say, Mom, just Google it, find the grocery store near you. And when she talks to Google, she acts like it's her friend. It's hilarious. Hello, Google? Google, find me the restaurant I like. Yes, find that. Oh, God bless you, Google. I was like, it's not a person. Oh, my goodness. I got to share one story with you guys. It was just my mom and I traveling back from Texas, and it was just like a small Spirit Airlines thing, probably like 75 people on the flight. And I remember, oh my goodness, it was kind of hectic at the time, but so we're on the flight, and they had one male attendant. And at this particular time, they decided to give not just peanuts, but they had like walnuts and cashews, and we're like, oh, because it was just a snack thing, you weren't going to get a meal. So we're like, oh, how exciting, this would be great. So he comes down to start passing out the, pistachios, whatever. He comes up to us, and my mom looks at him and goes, how much for your nuts? I was like, what? And he's like, $7. $7? Are you nuts? You think I'm going to pay $7 for your nuts? You're nuts. So he left. The whole airplane's cracking up. He came back later on and gave her at least three different, pistachios, peanuts, whatever. He's like, complimentary of the airline. So yes, I've been married to, I've been married 31 years this fall. I get an applause. By the way, I have to say, do you like my blouse? It's Macy's. So excited. Anyways, I've been married 31 years to an introvert who's an engineer, like Sharon mentioned. And we love him. So it's funny, we have 4 kids, we have 3 dogs, 8 cars. I'm a clown, he's an engineer. What could go wrong, right? I've learned there are certain words that scare introverts. Words like people, small talk, doorbell. My husband walks around and he's like, who are these people in our house? What's going on? I'm like, they're your children. They grew up. They're adults now. And I'm not kidding. He goes, we were at a different event. He goes, why is everyone looking at me? I'm like, you're at your daughter's wedding? And you're going to be walking her down the aisle. Yeah, so I am an extreme. They probably will have to do some kind of research on my brain. I love people. I am one of these extreme extroverts. It doesn't matter where you put me. If you take me to a city, I'm going to go meet the mayor, and we're just going to plan things for the city. You can put me on a bus with Amish people, I'm going to talk to every one of them. The next day, there'll be horses coming. They'll be inviting me for dinner. And you can stick me on an elevator. From the 2nd floor, we'll be strangers. By the 10th floor, we are best friends on Facebook going out for lunch. Because that's how I roll. My husband and I were like at a New Year's Eve party, and it's so annoying because he